Let's talk about building intimacy through conflict and communication. We get this question a lot. How is it possible that a person can grow or a couple can grow closer through conflict?
Yeah, so intimacy really means being heard and understood and known by someone else. It's something that every human being needs in order to thrive. But during conflict, often we just don't feel heard or understood. Communication begins to break down, and we can actually begin to feel distant, disconnected, and even like there's this big emotional wall between us. Oftentimes, we don't even have an idea of what to do next. In fact, this was really a big issue for us when we first got married.
Yeah, so how do we navigate conflict better in order to grow closer? Well, we believe it takes really two things. It's learning how to identify and share your hidden emotions and learning to listen well. Remember, every interaction has an emotional subtext to it.
So we all have this desire to be treated fairly and with kindness and openness and respect. And when we feel like we're being treated unfairly or disrespected or sometimes even with spite, we just naturally close down. We close our hearts down, and we can begin to experience loneliness, betrayal, and even abandonment, leading to things like insecurity and helplessness, sometimes rejection. For example, you can have an argument or a disagreement about some event like the laundry or the bills or the kids.
We've never had that argument.
Never. So these disagreements aren't exclusively about the laundry or the bills or the kids, but instead they're usually fueled by a deeper emotional issue, an emotion that rarely gets surfaced and that we don't even really talk about. Oftentimes they're tied to deeper feelings that may have started when we were really young, perhaps raised in a home where there was never enough money, or maybe where saving money was just not a big deal. And it's those feelings and emotions that underlie the current disagreement that you have about spending versus saving money. Well, you add in feelings of insecurity and feeling irresponsibility or even disloyalty. Sadly, we don't even realize the deeper issues are in play. Instead, we just pointlessly argue about who's more conscientious or who's more wasteful, who's more lenient or too strict with the kids. But we never get at the real underlying issue. All the while, though, we still pick up those subtle nonverbal cues and translate them into, I don't think you like me, or you don't respect me, or maybe even, you don't love me.
Yeah, these are our deep emotional buttons that are getting pushed that we must pay attention to in order to resolve the conflict in a healthy way and draw us closer together. And as Elisa noted, these buttons strike us at a deep level, and sadly, they rarely get surfaced or discussed. We can feel like we need a place to escape to, or at least some help in processing through the issues, figuring out what may be underlying and fueling your argument. So we've created a short exercise which can be found on our website called Couple Exercise, right? Understanding our emotional reaction. So look for it there. Doing this exercise can lead to a deeper intimacy with each other. So now what? Let's give you a couple of things. Number one, remember that timing is everything.
That's a big one.
Do not have this type of conversation in the heat of the moment when you're tired or hungry. We've done that too many times. Instead, take time out if you need to plan a time to come back together, maybe even on a date night, and come together and talk. Then, number two, figure out what's going on in your own heart and in your own mind. What emotional button is getting pushed? And then maybe you say, what's going on in me? Why is this happening? And where is it coming from? This is where you pause, you pray, and then proceed. So pause. Ask yourself, why am I so hurt? So angry, maybe even so scared? Why am I being so short-tempered? Where is this coming from? Then you pause, sit quietly, and listen for the Holy Spirit to bring something to mind. And remember, pray through Psalm 139. Verse 23 says this, "Search me, O Lord, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any hurtful way in me, and then lead me in the everlasting way." And then wait to see what the Holy Spirit will reveal to you. Hey, to help, we've made that handout available to you as a download and PDF file, and you can help better understand your emotional hot buttons. Then you proceed. Remember 3, listen. and listen to understand. Elise?
You want to just take turns sharing your own insights and stories with each other with the goal of listening to understand. James 1:19 says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry." Proverbs 18:13 says, "If you give an answer before you hear, it's your folly and shame." So listen for what button is being pushed in your spouse. I think our breakthrough came when we learned how to do this and we began to share our emotional buttons with each other and why they were getting pushed. So we took turns just listening to each other's story, heard each other, and really began to understand each other's deeper emotional buttons. It was really a game changer for us.
Yeah, and so why is this step of listening to understand so critical? Well, because transformation takes place. When I am more concerned with understanding what you are saying or what she is saying, than you understanding what I am saying. And so, right, when you listen and understand your partner's deeper story and emotions, you will tend to find more empathy toward them and be more willing to make changes to your own behavior.
That can really be transformative. And so next you want to practice daily the positives. And what we're talking about is a daily expression of appreciation, of small acts of kindnesses and of thoughtfulness for each other. Marriage researcher Dr. John Gottman says, never get tired of doing the little things for your partner. Sometimes those small things can occupy the biggest part of their heart. So don't forget, check out our podcast, The Art of Relationships, on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are heard around the world.